Alright guys, we're back at the car vlog with Edwin the engineer and Open Boosters, aka Timmy. What? You know, we're gonna have to ask Rudy.
Tacos.
We're gonna have to ask Rudy when we see him.
I'm the programmer here.
We're gonna have to ask him why he used the word Timmy. Like, how did he just rent?
Where did that come from?
Yeah, and all these little things he's thought up, like a green monster. I mean, where do you get that little guy? Floppy taco? Like, where do you get this thing from? You never told me this.
Yeah, where in Rudy's sordid history was there a Timmy that damaged him?
Yes, I think that's what it is.
Been beat up for all these years since then.
Well, there's three guys, like Timmy and something else and something else.
Russian. There's Russian Rudy. Russian. All right, so today's topic, well, this topic is about this mini topics.
In the middle of today.
We just started talking about the reserve list, your favorite topic of the year. Hold on a second, guys. There's a little fan right here on this little car.
It is.
Spinning around.
I've been watching it spin for a while now.
Yeah,
me too. It was mesmerizing.
Yeah, it was.
I was wondering why it won't just spin freely. It needs to be lubed or something. Is that what you're thinking too?
I was thinking he needs to actually lube it a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, you guys, lube. You guys are just crazy. Too early.
He needs a bearing in that thing.
Yeah.
All right, reserve list topic. We talked about this. The take on this is that it's not going away, right, Dan? It's not going away.
It's not going away.
But what do you think is going to happen? What's your prediction in the future? Do you think that there's going to be variations? Do you think they're going to produce better cards to you know, kind of trump the reserve list in a way? What do you think?
Kind of interesting if they started trumping it.
Put some orange hair on it.
People are just going to say, Dan just needs to shut up. The Asian Dan. Just stop moderating. Stop questioning.
Let's see. I'd still like to see more cards added to the reserve list.
Oh, that was the Rudy suggestion topic.
I like that topic. Yeah, I like that suggestion too.
So you want to see more added to the reserve list?
Yeah, I want to see as cards rotate out of standard, cards that are rotating out of standard, they're going into modern, that they get put into the reserve list.
Now, explain that logic, because I think people would just be hating on it immediately, saying, well, you just want to make the prices go up for Magic.
No, I just really want to see collectibles actually maintain their value or increase over time, because that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants their collectibles to be maintained over time. I know a lot of people don't want modern to go up in price and that kind of stuff, and I see that as a thing. But I think just adding a few cards because that puts reserve list cards in all new players' hands that have bought the cards, that have played with the cards, and just keeps putting more reserve list cards into people's hands, and that's what maintains the value.
You did this on your video, guys. I'll put this in the link below. Open Boosters did a video in his awesome office, which I have to tell you guys, it is absolutely the most spacious office I have ever been to in my life. Guys, seriously, this office is pretty small. Okay, it's a small, intimate experience.
It's where the magic happens.
It's where the magic happens. But his video is a very good video about, the thing is, it's a collectible card game. Think about this premise. The cards you guys are opening now for standard are not worth anything because there's no collectability, because there's no print run limitations. There's nothing, right? There's nothing holding it to become like, hey, I want to keep this, right? No, there's no reserve list, what you're suggesting, right?
Correct.
So because of this, Wizards can just keep printing and printing and printing and reuse the artwork. There's no special edition. There's no reason to keep it.
Yeah, it's true unlimited.
Yeah, it's true unlimited, right?
Yeah.
Right. Edwin, you have comments on this?
Yes, I do. I love this suggestion, and people have to keep in mind the thing that's really important about it is, just like Open Boosters was saying, if cards got added to the reserve list, then those cards would eventually start going up in value, just like all out-of-print older cards do. And that would give new players the ability to buy cards as they came out, and then as the years go by, appreciate in value, and give them some path to trade their way into cards that they actually want. And I can say, like, when I first started playing Magic, which was '96, some of that was actually happening. There was cards that were printed that actually had a decent amount of value. And if you were just showing up and trading with people, you could work your way into more expensive cards. And eventually, if somebody had a Mox that was like 150 bucks and you had like 3 Arabian Nights, you know, Urnam Jins or something, people might actually trade you because you traded your way into those 3 Urnams, and the value of those was about equal to like a Mox. You could find your way to get into those older cards. But now with the newer stuff, nobody with old cards wants to trade for new cards because everybody knows the new cards are just going to get reprinted. And so you're trading something that has like eternal quote unquote value for something that you are almost guaranteed is going to go down in value.
Wow. So, yeah, this is an awesome point, is that the value of the cards that people buy, they just dump them, and they don't they don't want to collect them. And so that's a good point. If you expanded the reserve list, it would actually produce value for your current cards to keep. Right. And then when you buy list them or sell them to vendors, they're not worth junk effectively as much.
Yeah, it would be a benefit to the new players, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good, I wish, I mean, Wizards has actively said the reserve list was a mistake. Remember this?
Yes.
They've said that, hey, this was a mistake to do this, but this is kind of something that Rudy said.
Actually great that they did that.
What's that?
I think it was great.
It was one of the greatest.
I think it was too.
Fine, you know, call it the greatest mistake they've ever made, right? Because imagine a world. Let's picture this. Let's say that there was never a reserve list. Let's say go back to Chronicles. They reprinted all those white border cards from Legends, Antiquities, The Dark, and you basically had no reserve list. What would the world be today, Dan?
A ton of Masters editions with Black Lotuses in it.
Probably.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, it'll be just
Blood Moon comes out every Masters edition.
Yeah.
Right. So
and
what would
no value?
So what would the value be? Imagine no reserve list ever, right? What would the values be at that point? Unlimited edition, like tons of Black Lotuses, tons of dual lands, everything you want.
Yeah, the Lotus wouldn't have climbed nearly as high. I know that, because it would be like...
It'll be still iconic.
It's iconic and it's black bordered. Alpha and Beta would probably, I don't know, I think it would be maybe, we'll park it at $1,000, because anybody can get one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got a good point.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So, one of the big points about like artists and creators of like artwork and theater and music, just kind of like in all realms, is sometimes the artists themselves or the creators themselves aren't the best people at evaluating how the rest of the world will value something that they've created. A perfect example is Leopold Tchaikovsky. One of his greatest creations, according to the world, is the Nutcracker Suite, but that's like the one thing that he created that he hated, right? But that's the one thing that he's actually remembered for. So the fact that Wizards of the Coast thinks that the reserve list is actually one of their biggest mistakes, just because they think that doesn't necessarily make it exactly the case. They could, in fact, be wrong. It's my opinion they're wrong. That's just my opinion. But I would say, based on the monetary value of the cards that they've created, it seems to me that the rest of the world disagrees as well, right? People vote with their wallet when it basically comes down to it. So I actually agree with Rudy and with Open Boosters that I think if the reserve list was expanded, I think it would be a benefit to the newer players, and it would benefit just the overall long-term quality of the game because it would just protect those values, right?
Yeah, a lot of people don't like the reserve list because they believe it will hurt Modern. And it'll actually destroy the game because a lot more people won't be able to buy the cards and be able to get into the game. That's the premise.
But they're forgetting that when they buy their newer cards, eventually their new cards will be expensive and they can trade into that older stuff.
Yes, but they're talking about the newer generation, the ones that come after them. They want them to be able to play in there too. And I see that as a valid point.
Yeah, that's true. Abolishing reserve list, you guys both believe that it's never going to abolish.
That can't.
It's not going to abolish.
It's too much of a legal issue also.
He can tell you all the big terms.
All right, so
I don't know.
Should we bring up that topic?
No. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it probably on the legal side of it. But what's the nuts and bolts from a Magic point of view? Why why is it never going to be abolished in your eyes?
The reason why it's never going to be abolished comes down to a legal term called promissory estoppel, which basically is a legal term that doesn't have anything to do with magic. What it has to do with is when one entity, one group makes a very public statement of, we promise we're never going to do this. And then they spend years certifying that again and again and again. And other people make financial decisions based on that promise. And as that continues, they keep recertifying it. Now, if that original promise ever gets broken, even though there's no legal contract between them, the people who made financial decisions based on that promise, they can take the original promiser to court and say, based on promissory estoppel, you can't actually make this change because you actually caused financial damages to us. And if you are going to make the change, or if you did, you're liable for the losses and the damages that I actually have. So again, this has nothing to do with magic, but magic is impacted by this, right? And Wizards of the Coast very clearly made that promise. And there's one point I want to make on it. Even if the text of the reserve list, the document itself, doesn't say something specific, you can't get around the loophole of it is very clear what their intentions were. Their intentions were to protect card values in the secondary market. And anything they do that takes a direct shot at card values in the secondary market of reserve list cards is something that they could be liable for in court. And so they can't print better versions of Powerline and dual lands and stuff like that. You know, just because the verbiage of the reserve list doesn't call that out, they can't go do it because it'll still impact the value of those cards.
Good point, Edwin. Dan, what do you think about people hoarding cards and investing cards, aka Rudy, investing in them?
Well,
Creepy people.
as long as I know where he lives.
So
We're coming for you, Rudy.
we're literally going to go see Rudy right now. No, but seriously though, people that are buying...
I have no problem with him hoarding anything because, I mean, if you're hoarding it, then obviously you want it as an investment or you just like it. I have no problem with that whatsoever because that happens on a daily basis.
Well, Dan, if you're...
Gold and silver and all that kind of stuff, it's the same thing. People hoard comic books, they hoard, you know...
anything. Transformers, whatever.
Transformers.
Cool, yeah.
And so it just makes sense. If they don't want to sell it, it's theirs. That's,
Right.
I have no problem.
See, this is the ongoing debate, right? People believe that Magic is this game that everybody should love and it should be free, essentially, in some weird way.
Technically it is.
It is.
I draw on my revised cards what I want to have on there. If I want an extra Black Lotus, I just draw a Black Lotus and I put it in. I don't really put it in the sleeve, but I just play cards, right? And so that is my version of proxy. When I was with Nateson and Ranch in Vegas,
Yeah.
we actually just put a card in there, and then he took a piece of paper with the name of the card and shoved it inside the sleeve, and that was the card, and we're all playing. It doesn't matter. You don't need to make proxies. I mean, you don't need to buy any proxies or anything like that because you can make them yourself. You're good.
Then why are people hating? I mean, Dan, why are people hating on the fact that others can afford an original? And why is that? Why are they considering that an issue? Why are they saying that's a bad thing for people that do that? Why do you think that's the case?
Well,
Because you're saying that you can just proxy the cards up and have fun with the game. I don't know what the problem is.
well, people want the card. That's the difference. They want the card. They can't afford the card.
Right.
And
It's kind of like the analogy of like what you said about gold and silver and like real estate or investing, right?
Yeah.
You want the multi-million-dollar house, but that doesn't mean you are
Entitled to it.
it. I mean, it's just the way life is. Like, I mean, we want a private jet, let's say, to travel somewhere, but we're never gonna, we're not gonna be. Most people will never get it, and so that's just the way, you know, like the cards have become. Well, I mean, that's probably not the best analogy, but it's kind of like a nice car, right? You know, like a collectible, right? You have to pay.
like by Honda.
You have to buy a certain. Yeah, that's why they have Honda. Right. You can still drive, but you won't get the experience of You won't. Yeah. This is funny, guys. He opens Alpha Starter decks, but he's driving a Honda. Guys, a Honda minivan. So that means
That's a statement for Honda.
Yeah.
You're welcome, Honda.
So.
Open boosters approved.
Man, we're gonna get some ad revenue on that one. That's good. It's it's funny because you really look at people and there's that side of like, oh, I feel like I should get this because I play Magic, but because it's a collectible and people have, you know, collecting and investing into it, it's one of those things I think it's hard to stomach. They think that the game is like, you know, like Monopoly. You can just buy it $14.99 at Walmart or whatever, right? And it's a game you can enjoy. But it's not just a game. It's a collectible card game, which made it so unique. And so when I spoke to some of the earlier Wizards people, they never thought that this game would ever become what it is today, collecting and value-wise.
Nobody had any idea.
No one had no idea. They were playing with these cards, no sleeves, nothing.
Wrapping their cards.
No sleeves, right?
Wrapping their cards in rubber bands, stuffing them in their pocket.
I never
playing on that asphalt.
Yeah.
I had a little deck box. They gave us things called starter decks, and they came with boxes. And you put your deck inside the box. Rubber bands? Who did that? That's insane.
Oh no! There was it's awful. And they crust up. They crust up. But you know, like old chewing gum. The same thing. Oh my gosh.
And they blur out the sides of the cards as they sit there and
the orange. Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah,
horrible, nasty.
And cards on the back that were like, they were played on asphalt and kids are tapping it as they sit on the playground.
Yeah.
So they get all these scratch marks in a circular kind of pattern like this,
Luckily,
right?
I was in college, so I got tables.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching this one. We'll see you guys a little later when we get to Rudy's shop. Bye.
Yeah,
if we ever get there.
If we get there.